Hey, welcome to Kelvin and I've. I am Kelvin. So this morning I spent probably about an hour and a half doing my Scrimba class, which is the front end developer roadmap. We covered conditionals. We covered booleans. I completed the blackjack game. However, I just didn't want to spend the whole day studying JavaScript. I do miss the basics, like the CSS and just little HTML project. So I wanted to get back in the free code camp. I completed most of the exercises here, but one that really stood out to me, which kind of got me more familiar with the before and after hover effects, was the let me see, it was the piano exercise. So I'm going to complete that with you all again. So we'll get started. Let's see, start coding. So to begin the basics of HTML, for those that didn't know, you start your documents with an exclamation mark, doc type, HTML, closing tag. Then you have your HTML tag, where you have to have your HTML lang. That's how you know the language that's going to render on the page, which is English. You have your head tag, and you have, in addition to your head tag, that's where your title is. That's what appears on the tab, the title. As you can see, set the title to this page. Just the language of this page in English. Set the title to piano. So this was me setting the language to English. The title is piano. Closing tag. From there we have the closing head tag. And we have the body. Body's gonna go here. Of course, the body's entering, and then your closing HTML, because your HTML is at the bottom of the document. And this should be the green bar, which means we're good. And we're going to keep on going. Add two meta tags. So the one I always remember is the meta char set should equal UTF minus 8. And the other one is the meta viewport equals, and I forget that one constantly. So for there I go the Web3 school. So also don't feel bad if you don't know these things. If you're using an IDE like VS Code, once you have to save the document first, but if you just hit exclamation and then the tabs key, it will create the HTML boilerplate for you. So you don't have to type all of this, but for the sake of the exercise, I'm going to. So here we go. So you should include the following meta viewport elements on your web pages. Meta viewport equals content equals quote width equals device minus the width, comma, initial scale equals 1.0. Initial scale is part sets the initial zoom level when the page first loaded by the browser. So I'll let you all read that in your free time, but that's at web3schools.com. So I'm just going to copy that, delete this here. Boom. We're flying through. I think it's time for a new machine. My Chromebook has been lagging a lot lately. So, div doesn't ask for a class, it asks for an ID. Div ID equals piano. We have your closing div tag, control enter. Now nest a second class, second div within your existing div, set the class to keys. I'm probably going to have multiple of these because I am creating a piano. Closing div. Within your keys element. See within your keys element, add 7 divs and give them all a class of key. So within this, within keys, I want to say div class key. And then that's going to be a closing div. She said I had 7 of these. Well, they said, excuse me. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, and that was right. Remember what? Remember that a class attribute can have multiple values. To separate your white keys from your black keys, you'll add a second class value of black dash dash key. Add this to your second, third, fifth, sixth, and seventh key. So that's going to be key black dash dash key. And I'm going to, that's all you would do. You're adding it within the class. So you're not adding an additional class. Please remember that. So key, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and that should be it. I remember, yes. I completed as part of September last year, so I don't really remember. It's pretty easy. Now copy the set of the 7 keys and paste 2 more sets into the keys div. I'll copy the set of 7 keys and paste 2 more sets into the keys div. So remember the dot KEYS dot keys is the class that isn't the ID, because the ID is going to be a hashtag when you get into your CSS. So when you start trying to customize, ID is a hashtag, class is a period. That's how you would customize it from there. But we're not talking about CSS right now. Don't want to get too much off topic. So I'm going to copy all of this. One, 2, 3, and voila. Now add a link element to your head with element within your head element. For that link element, set the rel attribute. Rel means relationship to style sheet, and the href to dot slash styles dot forward slash styles dot css. So we're already within the head element, as you can see. I'm going to disconnect my mouse. There we go. That's better. Link rel is the style sheet. Href equals forward slash styles dot css. That should be it. Closing tag, actually closing quotation. Enter. You should have href attribute set to styles.e. Oh, I forgot the S. Enter. Browsers can apply default margin and padding values to specific elements. To make sure your piano looks perfect, you need to reset the box model. So add an HTML rule selector. This is selecting everything that is within the HTML, which is everything within the document. So that'll be box sizing, border, box, closing, semicolon to your next cells. You will also need the target pseudo elements, which are special keywords that follow a selector. The two pseudo elements you will be using are the before and after. So that was the what I mentioned before, the before and after. They're pseudo elements. I forgot the name. The before selector creates a pseudo element, which is the first child of the second selected element, while the after selector creates a pseudo element, which is the last child of the selected element. These pseudo elements are often used to create cosmetic content, which you will see later in this project. For now, create a CSS selector to target all elements with the star elements include. So it's going to be star before, after, and then set the box sizing to inherit. That should be it. Let's test it out. Mhm. Oh, I didn't add a comma after the star. So here we go. Comma after everything. Now target your piano. Like I said, piano is the ID. So that's why there's a hashtag. Background property 20047 1B. Width is and the height to 290px. I was going to tell a joke about fog, but I missed the opportunity. This project clouded my judgment. All right, as you can see, the green appeared. So the background color was 00471B, which is this dark shade of green. The width and the height continue. So now things are starting to get fun. Set the margin of the piano to 80px auto. So the margin 80px auto. Here we go. Time to style the keys. Below the piano roll, target the keys element with a class selector. Give them a background color of black, which is 040404, a width of 949px, and a height of 180px. Can you believe this is free? That's all I can say. Okay, now give the keys a padding left of 2px. Move the keys into position by adjusting piano selector. Select the padding property. So 90px, 20px, 0. My girlfriend's here as well, but she is resting. Sometimes I wake up grumpy. Other times I let her sleep in. So padding is set to 90px, 20px, 0. And that's your up. It's like it works like a clock. So top, right, bottom, left. That's how I like to think of it. So let's say if I was to adjust this would be technically the left side. So let's say I do 100px. You see how it affected the left side of that. That makes sense. 20px. So let's say this was the top. So let's say I change that to 900px. As you can see, the top, it pushed it down. So give you an idea what I'm doing. Talking as much as I can to keep this interesting. Hopefully you are just maintains your attention. Time to style the keys themselves. Create a class selector for the key. So that's going to be key. Set the background color to just white. All it is. In position. That's a relative. Width 41px. And height 175px. And that is looking good. Hit enter. Uh-oh. Am I missing an F? F, F, F. 1, 2. Oop. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I don't have F's. The key selects have a background. I misspelled background. GROUND. That's why the key didn't display. I love the responsiveness. Give the key a margin of 2px float. Set the float property to left. Give the key a margin 2px and a float to left. For that. Wondering what did that transition? That's what the float property does. And time to use pseudo selectors you prepared for earlier to create the black keys. Add a new key class, which is black key dot black key selector. This will target elements with the key, black key, and select the pseudo element after these in the HTML. That's pretty straightforward. And set the background color to 1D1E22. Also set the content to closing tag. You cannot, this will make the pseudo elements empty. The content property is used to set to or override the content of the element. By default, the pseudo elements created by the before and after pseudo selectors are empty, and the elements will not be rendered to the page. Setting the content property to an empty string will ensure the element is rendering to the page while still being empty. So that should have solved that. Yes. Give the key that black key after the position property set to absolute. Not really seeing the results yet. Might have to just give it a minute. So we're staying within the same class. Set the width of 32px, height of 100px. That's how the black keys appeared. Add an image element to your keys element. Give the image a class of logo. And SRC, that's short for source. And then the alt text is always in case the image cannot render or for those that are visually impaired and cannot see the image at all. There's a accessibility setting that will let the person who is using the computer or machine what is rendering on the page if they have some type of visual impairment. So alt is going to be free code camp logo closing tag. Your image element should come before your first key element. Image element before your keys element. So basically what I'm doing is I'm copying all of this out. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to put it in the div over top of it. Easy fix. Now, like I said, the hashtag is the logo. That's how you tag it, the ID, and set the width to 200px. The position is going to be absolute. And the top is going to be 23px. Oh, that's right, it wasn't an ID, it was a class. The image element needs its parent to have the position set to the point of reference at the position of the piano selector to relative. The position will be relative. To smooth the sharp edges of the piano keys, start by giving the piano a border radius of 10px. So a border radius will be of 10px. Starting to look like a piano now. Give the key selector a border radius of 0, 0, 3px, 3px. That's perfect. Give the keys black keys after selector border radius and set that to 0, 0, 3px, 3px. That a media rule is known as a media query is used to conditionally apply CSS. Media queries are commonly used to apply CSS based on the viewport width using the max width and min width properties. In the below example, the padding is applied to the card class when the viewport is 960px wide. So that makes sense. So that's all I'm saying is going to be the media. It's going to be with 768 px. Oh, okay, I didn't have my curly brackets, that's all. So I still got it right. Y'all need to relax. Add a new piano selector to your media query and set the width of 358 px. Hmm. Actually, I'm getting this wrong. It's going to be piano, and it's going to be another one, and there's going to be width 358 px. That's how it should look. There we go. Within the media query, add a keys width to 318 px. Now add a logo selector to the media query. And then set the width 150 px. Oh, I used an hashtag instead of a period. That's how you target the class. You may have noticed the keys collapse when the browser window is smaller than 768 px. Set the overflow to hidden in the first keys. So logical operators can be used to construct more complex media queries. The and logical operators used to query two media conditions. For example, a media query that targets a display width of between 500 px and 1000 px would be that. So, media max width same thing I did last time. Should have a min width of 760. So I got them backwards. Have a max width of 1199. For the media rule, set the width to 675 px. And then the width of the keys will be 633